I was a doormat for 10 years, and my wife wore a green hat for 10 years. I came home early from a business trip, wanting to give her a surprise, only to see her rolling in the sheets with her white moonlight. She looked at me with disdain. Chi Sui, so what if you have money? It all belongs to me and my lover anyway. I was pushed off the 18th floor by her white moonlight, dying with my eyes wide open. Reborn, on the day of my wedding, I married her sworn enemy. The day I married Yun Zhao, the whole city was in the spotlight because she wanted the most extravagant wedding in the world. I went to the makeup room to find her, quietly opening the door, and some soft moans came from inside. Ayu, be gentle. The marks are too heavy. Chi Sui will find out. Can that waste of space satisfy you? No, I still like you the most. I clenched my fists. It turned out they had already been secretly having an affair on our wedding day. I spent $1 million to marry her, and she was treating me like a fool. The wedding began, and I waited for Yun Zhao on the stage. Her wedding dress was beautiful, costing 100,000. She walked up the flower-petal-strewn aisle and took my arm. She looked gentle, but there was no smile in her eyes. She lowered her voice and whispered in my ear. Chi Sui, why are you pulling such a long face? Marrying you is a blessing you've cultivated for 8 lifetimes. The MC began the ceremony. When he asked if I was willing, I opened my mouth. I'm not willing. The MC was about to give a blessing, the friends and family were about to applaud, and Yun Zhao even reached out for me to put the ring on her finger. Then, the smiles on everyone's faces froze. Chi Sui, have you lost your mind? Yun Zhao roared at me, losing her composure, but I didn't miss the guilty look in her eyes. I took a step back, and the scene of Yun Zhao with her white moonlight appeared on the big screen. I was even malicious enough not to censor it. My eyes were cold, filled with hatred. She cheated. This wedding is null and void. I wouldn't give Yun Zhao another chance to suck my blood. It's a pity to nullify it. Let's get a new bride. I was a little surprised and looked toward the person speaking. Su Tanshi. In university, she was our student council president. I had little interaction with her, hadn't even said a few words, but I often heard about her from Yun Zhao's mouth. Chi Sui, that Su Tanshi is such a bitch, deliberately acting weak to make the teachers choose her. She must have a secret affair with the teachers. Chi Sui, I saw Su Tanshi getting out of a luxury car. The owner was an old man, and they even hugged. Chi Sui, Su Tanshi stole my quota for getting into a state-owned enterprise. I could tell from Yun Zhao's words her animosity towards Su Tanshi. Yun Zhao spoke angrily. Su Tanshi, he's my husband. Su Tanshi smiled faintly. You've already cheated. Su Tanshi then looked at me. Chi Sui, you only have one chance. I saw the determination in Su Tanshi's eyes, and my heart was actually moved. I looked at her and reached out my hand. Okay, today you are my bride. Yun Zhao looked at us in disbelief. Seeing that I had really brought Su Tanshi onto the stage, the anger in her eyes slowly turned into panic. Kisui, how dare you? Isn't this so you and your white moonlight can be together openly? After speaking, I took Su Tanshi to my side, and at the same time, looked at Yun Zhao in that wedding dress, a cold smile appearing on my face. That wedding dress you're wearing costs 2 million, plus the dowry, wedding house, and wedding car. Within 3 days, return every single penny to me. Otherwise, we'll see each other in court. Yun Zhao and her white moonlight were directly chased out of the wedding venue by my relatives and friends. Yun Zhao's parents were even more embarrassed and slapped her. And my wedding with Su Tanshi was simple and quick. Before the officiant could even finish his blessings, Su Tanshi said, I do. As soon as the words fell, she hugged me and kissed me. I was stunned for a moment. I could probably guess that she was just trying to save the situation or to annoy Yun Zhao. After all, they had a very unpleasant falling out in college. Yun Zhao spread rumors about her. She took everything that belonged to Yun Zhao. I looked at her strangely. She pursed her lips, then reached out to me. I felt around in my pocket and put the wedding ring on her finger. Oh well, might as well go all the way with the act. The ring was custom-made for Yun Zhao, and the size was a bit off for Su Tanshi. She smiled and said to me, you have to make it up to me later with a new one. I just took that as a joke. Having been betrayed, I didn't want to believe in any woman anymore. The next day I went to work as usual. The joke of my wedding had already spread far and wide. I didn't care about the contemptuous looks from everyone. I joined this company after graduating from college. I was an IT worker. It's ridiculous, but I originally had the opportunity to enter the upper management. But because Yun Zhao didn't want to live separately, I gave up that opportunity. Since then, I could only be an employee in the company with a monthly salary of 30,000. $30,000 was more than enough for an average family, but Yun Xiao was someone who loved brand names and spent money lavishly, so she always thought I was useless. I went directly to my supervisor's office. Director Zhang, I agree to go to Jinggang City. The supervisor was a little worried. You changed your mind? But what about your wife? Yun Xiao and I are over. She has no right to boss me around anymore. To put it nicely, I used to be henpecked. To put it bluntly, I was a simp. In the end, I ended up with nothing. As soon as I came out of the company, I ran into Yun Xiao. She rushed over to slap me, but this time I dodged it. Are you here to pay back the money? Chi Sui. How could you do such a cruel thing? Do you know that videos of me and him are spreading all over the internet now? I raised an eyebrow. You dare to do it, but don't dare people to see it? Yun Xiao's body trembled with anger. Finally, she took a breath and said, go and issue a statement. Say that the videos are all photoshopped, they're fake. We can live happily together, okay? I sneered. Are you dreaming? Since you like your white moonlight so much, go live happily with your white moonlight. And by the way, cough up my money. Yun Xiao and I knew each other in college. Initially, we had no contact. It wasn't until a fire broke out in the lab because of a computer catching fire, and Yun Xiao saved me, that I developed feelings for her. I had sacrificed too much to marry Yun Xiao. Thinking about it now, it would have been better to give everything to a dog. Yun Xiao gritted her teeth. Chi Sui, Su Tanxi is not a good person. She's worse than me. You'll regret this. She stomped into the company, wearing her stiletto heels. I didn't care at all. I don't know Su Tanxi very well, but I'm sure she isn't some big villain. In my past life, I had attended several important banquets with Yun Xiao and had run into Su Tanxi. Yun Xiao would belittle me in front of everyone. Everyone was laughing at me. Only she was willing to say a few words on my behalf. And Yun Xiao became even more aggressive in humiliating me. At that time, I began to hate Su Tanxi a little. Su Tanxi asked me if I wanted to leave Yun Xiao. At that time, I was blinded by love and chose to refuse. I even hated Su Tanxi because Yun Xiao projected her hatred for her onto me. I went home to pack my things, preparing to leave, until Su Tanxi came to my house. She sat on the sofa, wearing a white shirt and black dress pants, her legs straight and long, looking at me and saying very seriously, I've been waiting for you all morning. I was puzzled. Waiting for me for what? She placed her household registration book on the coffee table to get our marriage certificate. I responded, what happened yesterday was that I didn't explain things clearly. I was just using you for a bit. If you really mind, I can offer you some other compensation. She still said the same thing. Marriage. I realized that she was quite stubborn. Chi Sui, it's not so easy to deal with Yun Xiao. I don't want anything from you. I just want to make Yun Xiao unhappy. If she's unhappy, then I'm happy. I lightly pulled at the corners of my lips. Are you willing to make such a big sacrifice for Yun Xiao? Did these two have some deep-seated hatred between them? Su Tanxi looked at me very seriously and said, a marriage of convenience. Each gets what they need, how about it? I naturally thought that Su Tanxi's goal was to make Yun Xiao unhappy. I agreed. We got our marriage certificate that afternoon, and then I went to the Beijing Hong Kong branch of the company. With my abilities, I was directly made the technical department director at the branch. The higher-ups valued my abilities very much. After the project was successfully completed, my position rose rapidly. At the department celebration party, I drank too much and went to the restroom. In the restroom, I heard some disharmonious noises. The voice sounded familiar, and I pushed open the door. Sure enough, it was Yun Xiao and her white moonlight getting intimate. I now seem to understand why Yun Xiao didn't want me to come to Beijing, Hong Kong. Because she and her white moonlight were having an affair here, and she was afraid of being discovered by me. I leaned against the door and mockingly said, Tisk, do you want me to call people over and give you a live broadcast? Yun Xiao hastily pushed the person off of her and stared at me resentfully. Why are you here? Do I need to report to you where I go? Zhang Feng pulled up his pants and spat. So, you're the worthless loser. This isn't a place you can afford to be, is it? Zhang Feng had gone abroad for his studies in college, and I only caught up with Yun Xiao after that. After I caught the two of them together, Yun Xiao said to me, I've been with him for a long time now. If it weren't for the fact that you had a little money, I wouldn't have bothered to stay by your side. Oh, also, your daughter isn't yours either. Chi Sui, your life is a joke. You don't even know that's Su Tanxi. Before she could finish her sentence, I couldn't listen anymore. I rushed up and started fighting with Zhang Feng, and then was pushed off the 18th floor. What about Su Tanxi? I don't know. What did my marriage with Yun Xiao have to do with Su Tanxi? A huge question that I had previously overlooked was growing in my heart. I asked her, why do you always try to slander Su Tanxi in front of me? Want to know? Then kneel down and beg me to marry you. Yun Xiao slowly put on her clothes and looked at me provocatively. She didn't think she was wrong. I sneered. "Oh, sorry, I'm married." Yun Zhao's face nearly cracked. I continued, "My wife is Su Tanchi." Yun Zhao completely exploded. "I thought you were just throwing a tantrum. I didn't expect you to actually marry her." "Chi Sui, you really are a cheapskate. You should take a look at yourself and see if you're worthy. Whether I'm worthy isn't for you to decide. Moreover, where am I not worthy? Yun Zhao, you think too highly of yourself." I looked at her mockingly. My heart no longer held any fondness for her, only disgust. I returned to the private room and drowned my sorrows in alcohol. The next day, the company had to discuss a partnership with another company. I was responsible for the technical aspects and went to check their products. Unexpectedly, the person in charge on the other side was Jiang Feng. After a brief trial, I discovered many non-compliant aspects of their product and immediately refused the collaboration. Jiang Feng slammed the table. "Chi Sui, are you holding a grudge because I stole your wife and deliberately picking a fight?" "Mr. Jiang, a product is unqualified, plain and simple. How did it get tangled up with personal matters? Are you feeling guilty?" I had absolute authority in the branch company. I intertwined my fingers, propped up my head, and looked at him casually. Our company had many choices, but Jiang Feng's company only had us. I continued, "If your product continues to be unqualified, I will still refuse." "Shao Li, see him out." I had never felt so triumphant in front of Jiang Feng as I did today after kicking him out of the company. Yun Zhao always liked to compare me to him. Just because I didn't study abroad and didn't make as much money as him, I gradually became a bit inferior. But I won't be anymore. This life, I will live for myself. The company directly rejected the collaboration with Jiang Feng, but at the same time, the news of my situation with Yun Zhao also spread throughout the branch company. Until Su Tanchi arrived. "CEO Chi, I didn't expect your wife to be so gentle and virtuous. She even bought afternoon tea for us." I was puzzled. When I entered the office, I found Su Tanchi sitting on the sofa. She looked at me. "I'm taking the liberty of coming to your company because I want to discuss a partnership with you." She handed me the product and project proposal. Her product was indeed much better than Jiang Feng's, and the project proposal was also more detailed and complete. I finalized the partnership with her on the spot. She asked me, "When do you plan to go back?" "Probably going to be a while yet. Is there something?" "After all, we're married. My parents want to meet you." I was drinking water and almost spat it out. I was completely unprepared for this. I looked at Su Tanchi in astonishment. She pursed her lips and smiled, her first smile in front of me. "If you're not comfortable with it, then we won't, it's fine. I'm in Jinggang recently too. We can hang out together sometime if you're free." Although she invited me, I was too busy with work and forgot about it. Only by standing tall could I trample Jiang Feng and Yun Zhao under my feet. Right now I'm everyone's joke, but in a while, I will make them the joke of everyone. Later, I heard that Jiang Feng was constantly looking for partners and faced many rejections. He was also disciplined by his company and was having a hard time. I was delighted in my heart. I stayed in Jinggang for 2 months, and then I was transferred back to headquarters. On the third day, I received a call from Yun Zhao. She said, "If you don't marry me, I'll die right in front of you." I replied, "Then die somewhere far away." I was about to hang up, but I heard Su Tanchi's voice on the other end of the line. I paused slightly. "You want to find Su Tanchi?" "What? Are you feeling sorry for her?" I hurried to Su Tanchi's company. There was a commotion coming from Su Tanchi's office, mostly Yun Zhao's voice. I saw many people watching from outside. It wasn't until I heard a loud crash inside that I pushed the door open and went in. Her office was a mess. Yun Zhao saw me enter, picked up a piece of broken porcelain from the floor. I thought she was going to attack Su Tanchi, so I quickly pulled Su Tanchi behind me. Yun Zhao saw this, curled the corner of her lip, then feigned putting the shard of porcelain against her wrist. "Chi Sui, marry me, or I'll cut myself. I mean what I say." I sneered and walked towards Yun Zhao step by step. Su Tanchi tugged at me. "Chi Sui, don't go over there. She's not thinking straight right now." I shook my head and shook off her hand. Yun Zhao wasn't thinking straight, but I was even less so. Seeing me walk over, a smile slowly appeared on Yun Zhao's face. "Chi Sui, I knew you still loved me. I saved your life back then, so you should pledge yourself to me, right? How could you abandon me?" She thought I was going over to save her. But I squatted down in front of her, held her hand that was about to lower, and pressed it down on her wrist. Yun Zhao instantly screamed. Her smug expression vanished. "Chi Sui, are you crazy?" I pressed the shard of porcelain down again. Yun Zhao screamed frantically. I leaned close to her ear. "Didn't you want to die? Then cut yourself. If you don't dare, I'll help you." Her screams were almost bursting my eardrums. I clicked my tongue in annoyance and threw her hand away, feeling bored. Yun Zhao quickly threw the shard of porcelain away and ran to one side to sob quietly. I knew she wouldn't dare cut herself. She was just trying to force me to submit. In our past life, after we got married, she often used this tactic. Before, I liked her, felt sorry for her, and was afraid of her getting hurt, so I would naturally coax her and go along with her. I gave her whatever she wanted. Yun Zhao knew she couldn't succeed, cursed a few times, and left. I looked at Su Tanxi's messy office and felt a little embarrassed. I'll clean up. Why don't you go sit outside? In the past life, I was the one who did the chores at home, so I was very skilled at it. Su Tanxi didn't leave, but suddenly asked me, "You pulled me behind you just now. Were you afraid I'd be bullied?" My hand trembled, and I said with a bit of teasing, "You're my wife, after all. Isn't it right for me to do that?" Su Tanxi smiled. "Then shouldn't you compensate me a little? What compensation do you want?" She stepped forward and wrapped her arms around mine, whispering in my ear, "Treat me to a meal." Su Tanxi was easily satisfied. She took me to the snack street next to our old university. When I was in university, Yun Zhao and I came here once. But Yun Zhao complained that it wasn't upscale enough and called me a poor loser in front of my roommates. We broke up unhappily that day. After that, every date, I took her to high-end restaurants, spending thousands every time. So coming here again, my expression wasn't very good. Su Tanxi noticed and asked in a low voice, "What's wrong?" I shook my head. "Nothing. It's been a long time since I've been here. It feels a little strange. There's a very delicious noodle shop here. I think you'll like it." I pretty much guessed which one it was and was a little surprised the dignified general manager of the company also comes here to eat this kind of thing. Su Tanxi was a very outstanding person, rising through the ranks all the way. In our past life, I went to a few class reunions, and she was the center of attention. I didn't have much to say to her. Su Tanxi smiled. "Well, if someone likes it, I like it too." Seeing Yun Xiao again was at a business dinner. After returning to the company, I was promoted and my salary doubled. I was now qualified to attend this type of high-profile event. Yun Xiao arrived with Jiang Feng, her arm linked with his. When she saw me, she glared at me fiercely. At that moment, Su Tanxi walked over and hooked her arm through mine, pretended to kiss me on the cheek. "Honey, I knew you'd be here." I was speechless. I stared at Su Tanxi for a moment. She smiled slightly. "What's wrong? Is there a problem? As your wife, can't I kiss you?" "Sure." I touched my face, feeling like I was dreaming. Su Tanxi glanced at Yun Xiao, preventing me from talking to Yun Xiao, and pulled me away. I strongly suspected that Su Tanxi kissed me just to provoke Yun Xiao. Am I just a part of their game? Once we were a distance away, I subconsciously asked, "What deep-seated hatred is there between you and Yun Xiao? We never got along in school. You know that." Su Tanxi stopped walking and suddenly looked at me seriously. "What kind of things does Yun Xiao say about me in front of you?" I scratched my head, embarrassed. "How did you know she was saying things about you?" Su Tanxi didn't speak. I blinked and continued to ask, "Speaking of which, I've never understood why you two are like enemies." Su Tanxi looked at me deeply, then whispered, "Idiot." I was speechless. The dinner was a perfect opportunity to attract investment. Since Su Tanxi and I didn't work at the same company, we only spoke for a short time before going our separate ways. Jiang Feng came to me for a drink. I initially wanted to refuse, but there were too many people around, and he was very smooth with his words. I took a symbolic sip and directly pointed out the problems with their company's products. Immediately, those who wanted to cooperate with him smiled awkwardly and left. Jiang Feng looked at me like he wanted to devour me. After leaving, I hadn't walked far before I felt weak. I looked down at the drink in my hand and cursed inwardly. Someone had drugged the drink. I leaned against the wall to steady myself. A blurry figure appeared before me. She said, "Chi Sui, even if I don't want you, you can't be with Su Tanxi." That voice was Yun Xiao. She came over to support me and even tried to kiss me. I pushed her away and slapped her. "Get lost." I don't hit women, especially not Yun Xiao. I had always been incredibly gentle with her. Today was the first time I hit her. She was stunned. I turned to find Su Tanxi. "Chi Sui, you stop right there?" Yun Xiao chased after me. I quickened my pace and collided with someone as I rounded a corner. "I've been looking for you for a long time. Why are you here?" Su Tanxi held me up. "You're not right. What happened?" I looked at her lips moving and leaned down to kiss her, deeply. I don't remember what happened afterward. I only knew I woke up in a hotel. I stared blankly at the unfamiliar ceiling, feeling like a good man who had been taken advantage of. Su Tanxi came out of the bathroom. I saw the various marks on her body. She was bolder than I imagined, completely naked. She glanced at me and said, "We have a marriage certificate. We're a legal couple." so you don't have to look like you're at a disadvantage. I was a little embarrassed at first, but when she turned her back to me, I saw large burn scars on her back. I was stunned and instinctively asked, "How did you get those burns on your back?" Su Tanchi finished dressing and turned to look at me, saying there was a fire in the lab before, and I was one of the victims. She said it calmly, so I didn't think much of it. Neither of us dwelled on this matter, nor did either of us mention living together, as if nothing had happened. I continued to work hard climbing the ladder. Jiang Feng had the support of his family, and although my family had some money, it was definitely not as much as a wealthy family that could throw around tens of millions in the business world. Although I created some setbacks for Jiang Feng, he quickly resolved them, even threatening my company's boss to fire me. I made a bet with my boss that within 2 months, I would definitely be able to develop the latest AI, ranking among the world's top. If I failed, I would leave on my own accord. Half a month later, I wrote the preliminary code and tested it at the company. Yun Chao and Jiang Feng came in together and kicked my robot to pieces. My expression darkened, a hint of coldness flashing across my eyes, and I said directly, "Pay up. A broken robot, and you want me to pay? Look at yourself. What do you think you are?" Yun Chao had always looked down on me. Jiang Feng stomped on the robot's head, crushing it, and said, "I said I'd make you roll, and I will." I narrowed my eyes, clenched my fist, and punched him hard. Jiang Feng didn't react in time, and when he tried to fight back, I had already pinned him to the ground and was beating him. Every punch landed on his face, until I saw him spitting blood. Yun Chao was frightened by me, her body trembling. Soon, the security guards separated us, and I was taken away by the police. At that time, Jiang Feng was still yelling behind me, saying that he would make me rot in jail for the rest of my life. An hour later, Su Tanchi bailed me out. She looked me up and down. "Are you hurt?" I shook my head. My hand just hurt a bit from punching, and it wasn't satisfying enough. In my past life, they had killed me. Now I just punched them a few times. How could it be enough? I shook my hand and asked her, "How were you able to bail me out?" "I have some cooperation with Jiang Feng's company. I have a hold on him, so he naturally listened to me." I got into Su Tanchi's car, and I saw that this wasn't the road back to the company. She said directly, "Let's go back to my place first." "Your parents?" "I don't live with them." Su Tanchi's house was a 2-story villa. The moment I went in, I had the illusion of being kept by her. I originally planned to stay for a while and then leave, but Su Tanchi opened a bottle of wine, and as I drank, I got drunk and stayed at her place for the night. Nothing happened this time. My clothes were still on. Su Tanchi said, "You seem disappointed." I rubbed my temples and got up. "No, you're overthinking." I didn't miss the disappointment in her eyes, and I had a strange feeling in my heart, but I couldn't explain it. At this moment, I received a call from the company, so I quickly got up to go there. She helped me choose an outfit and helped me tie my tie. These were things that Yun Chao had never done for me. I left in a hurry, my heart a mess. Sometimes, I was afraid of this kind of tenderness. The gentler a person is, the more fatal they can be. Yun Chao was like that. Back at the company, my boss scolded me, and I listened quietly, but my thoughts were scattered. Logically speaking, I had already decided not to be with Yun Chao, so why did she keep giving me trouble? After beating Jiang Feng severely, I didn't see them for the better part of half a month. I heard that Jiang Feng was still in the hospital, mainly to avoid the company's product issue. Some reporters had even tracked him down to the hospital to interview him. And Yun Chao wasn't taking care of him at the hospital. It seemed like the two of them had fallen out. Jiang Feng had always been Yun Chao's white moonlight. Jiang Feng's family was wealthy and could provide Yun Chao with a good environment for development. If that was the case, why did she marry me? With this doubt, I went to look for Jiang Feng. I happened to bump into Yun Chao in Jiang Feng's hospital room. I thought marrying him would help you get the core code for their company's AI, but it was still a failure. He used to be so obedient. He was also so happy when it happened and transferred the house to me. But now, Jiang Feng, what do we do now? You only had the opportunity to go abroad in college because you took his code. If you can't get it out now, you're going to be fired from the company. My heart clenched instantly as I listened from outside. If being cheated on was a blow to my life, then what they were saying now was stepping on the fruits of my labor, eating my flesh, and drinking my blood. It turned out that the opportunity to go abroad in college that year was also stolen from me by Jiang Feng. The hatred in my heart grew endlessly. I wanted to push open the door and confront them directly, but I calmed myself down. I took a deep breath, listened to them finish talking, and already had an idea in mind. I turned and left, but I ran into Su Tanchi, who had come to the hospital at the emergency room. I was a little surprised. I originally wanted to say hello, but seeing that she followed the doctor directly, I hesitated and followed. I followed her all the way to the obstetrics and gynecology department. I didn't dare go in. I was stunned. Could she be pregnant? I stood at the door and waited for more than half an hour before she came out. When she saw me, she was surprised for a moment and immediately hid the test results behind her back. I grabbed her hand. Are you pregnant? Sutanchi pursed her lips, lowered her head, and said, Yes, it's been over a month since last time. If you don't like it, I can get an abortion. Indeed, having experienced a failed marriage in my previous life, I had absolutely no illusions about marriage. So much so that after confirming that she was pregnant, my first words were, Okay. She looked up, neither surprised nor questioning, but just nodded calmly. Okay, I'll make an appointment right away. She left calmly. For a moment, I felt like I had done something incredibly wrong, heinous even. I scratched my head in frustration. One time, and she got pregnant? Although I focused on work afterwards, my parents called me saying that the betrothal gift and the house from Yun Xiao hadn't been returned. That's when I remembered this matter. I didn't go to Yun Xiao. Instead, I went directly to a lawyer and filed a lawsuit. When we met in court, Yun Xiao cursed at me. Chi Sui. Chi Sui, you've got some nerve. You actually dared to sue me. I'm telling you, there's no way I'll return anything. I ignored her and directly stated my claim to the court. If she refused, then we would see each other in court. For some reason, if I could get the house back, what I actually thought about was being with Sutanchi. I shook my head. We were just in a contractual marriage. We would get divorced one day. Why dwell on such meaningless fantasies? After abandoning my romantic obsession, my career is booming. I spend my days immersed in code, and I've handed over the lawsuit against Yun Xiao entirely to the lawyer Sutanchi helped me find. I wanted to thank her, but then realized I didn't have her contact information. It was instantly awkward. Today, I left work early and went to Sutanchi's company, unsure if she was busy, and waited downstairs. After a while, her secretary came to call me up. She was currently scolding her subordinates, appearing even more aloof and stern than I'd seen before. Upon seeing me, she dismissed them and led me into her office. Why did you suddenly think of coming to find me today? I rarely ever took the initiative to go to her. I was unusually shy. I came to thank you for introducing me to the lawyer. Sutanchi, who was about to pour me tea, paused her movement, then smiled faintly. It's nothing, a small matter. I'm familiar with her, and she's very capable. Yun Xiao won't get any advantage from her. I nodded, glancing at her stomach. Sutanchi noticed my gaze, her eyes flickered, and she tentatively said, I haven't found a suitable doctor yet, maybe in a while. I couldn't bring myself to tell her to get an abortion immediately. She lowered her head, looking very lonely. I walked to her side, raised my hand to stroke her head, and said with sudden clarity, Since we're already married, let's live together now. Sutanchi stared at me, stunned. I continued, You're pregnant. You need someone to take care of you. Sutanchi frowned. I scratched my head awkwardly. It's a long story, and I have no way to explain it to you, but if the child in your belly is really mine, I will take responsibility as a father. That night, I moved into Sutanchi's villa. As I approached, I sighed deeply. If Yin Xiao weren't still occupying the marital home, I wouldn't have to be like a live-in son-in-law. Although I didn't mind it, being unfamiliar with Sutanchi made it feel particularly awkward. I stayed in the guest room. After unpacking, I went back to the company, busied myself all afternoon, and when leaving, saw there were still people in the department and directly said, Remember to turn off the lights and lock the door when you're done. Yes, I left reassured. But when I left the company, planning to take a taxi, a car pulled up right in front of me. I recognized the car. It was Yin Xiao's. To be exact, it was the one I bought for her. Looking at the car, I frowned heavily. It was bought with money I earned in college by coding day and night. It wasn't expensive, just a little over 100,000, but it was still despised for a long time back then. I licked my back teeth, feeling like I'd fed a dog. Chi Sui, get in? I have a surprise for you. I looked at her speechlessly. Do you think we can go back to the way we were? Do you think that after I've caught you twice doing that with Jiang Feng, I won't have any resentment? If you have any shame, you shouldn't be flaunting yourself in front of me. It makes me sick. Yun Xiao curled her lip. You liked me for so long, pursued me for so long, and now you want to break up with me over such a small thing? I know you're trying to make me feel insecure, and I know you're trying to make me give in. I can coax you, but once things are done too far, you might lose me. Sorry, I have a wife now. Lose you? Huh. Who wants your trash? I couldn't help but roll my eyes. Seeing Sutanchi's car in the corner of my eye, I went straight to Sutanchi. But at that moment, Sutanchi stepped on the gas, charging directly towards me. Her car sped past me. My pupils constricted, followed immediately by the sound of a crash. My body stiffened as I turned my head to find that she and Yun Zhao's car had collided. Yun Zhao's car hood was completely crumpled. I understood roughly. Yun Zhao had driven her car towards me, and Su Tanchi had crashed into her to save me. I was still a little shaken. Su Tanchi got out of her car, walked straight to me, and looked me up and down. Are you hurt? I shook my head. Su Tanchi's cold gaze turned to Yun Zhao. She walked over, directly dragged Yun Zhao out of the car, and without another word, raised her hand and slapped her. I raised an eyebrow. Yun Zhao had always been someone pampered, and this was the first time she had been slapped in public. She wanted to retaliate, but Su Tanchi grabbed her wrist and slapped her again with her other hand. 2 solid slaps left her face swollen. Su Tanchi said coldly, driving into people in public, are you tired of living? Also, he's my husband now. I don't want a repeat of the drugging incident. And furthermore, don't come bothering him again. Yun Zhao's expression was almost ferocious. Su Tanchi, I really didn't expect it. You'd still want a piece of trash like him. He's been played with, worn out by me, just a lapdog. I'm not even interested. Su Tanchi, you've always lost to me. I frowned, a deep hatred flashing through my eyes. In my previous life, when I discovered her infidelity, she was just like now, not feeling guilty at all because I was a lapdog, so I didn't deserve any dignity, didn't deserve to show any dissatisfaction when she went to bed with her white moonlight. I should have just licked her boots to the end, letting them eat, drink, and have fun with my money. Following Su Tanchi back home, I got drunk. I hugged her and kissed her fiercely. I touched the burn scar on Su Tanchi's back. Her body trembled slightly. I asked her, why me? Given your conditions, there are plenty of men who would want to marry you. Su Tanchi cupped my face in her hands, then sighed. Between adults, we only talk about benefits. My mind cleared instantly. What she said actually made a lot of sense. Even after what happened yesterday, Yun Zhao still hadn't given up on finding me. She was completely shameless, sending flowers and food to my company every day, apologizing and professing her love. She would curse at me, insult me, and then try to please me like she had a split personality. However, I more or less guessed that she was just doing it to disgust Su Tanchi. I threw away everything Yun Zhao sent. I thought it was disgusting to even look at. Sometimes when I went home, I would have to take a few extra glances at Su Tanchi's face. She was always indifferent, apart from the time she slapped Yun Zhao twice. I really hadn't seen any fluctuations in her emotions. I heard, recently your company's confidential information has been stolen. I wasn't surprised that she knew. I casually nodded. Yes, there's a corporate spy in the company. Su Tanchi looked at me. Then be careful. Aren't you working on the core code lately? Be careful of Re. Her words stopped abruptly. I asked, Re what? Su Tanchi shook her head. She lowered her eyes, hiding her thoughts. I had grown curious about her. This curiosity didn't last long, as I immersed myself in my busy work. Zhang Feng was pressing hard. His company had even developed AI faster than us. Groups that originally wanted to cooperate with us were all vying to cooperate with him instead. My boss was furious with me in the office. I reassured him. The situation isn't settled. Don't rush. The boss patted my shoulder. I have high hopes for you. Don't let me down. I continued to work diligently in the office every day. Then an unexpected person came to see me. I asked in surprise, why have you come to the company to find me? I'm here to discuss cooperation with you. Su Tanchi took out a stack of documents and handed them to me. I quickly skimmed through them. They were all from listed companies that had taken a liking to my code program and wanted to cooperate. All I had to do was sign, and our company would instantly rake in hundreds of millions. But this achievement was given to me because of Su Tanchi's influence, not because of my own merit. I directly refused. Thank you for your kindness, but I really don't need it this time. Su Tanchi lowered her head. Did I not help you? She seemed unhappy. No, I know most of these people. You must have gone to a lot of trouble to get them here, and I'm not unappreciative. It's just that some things I need to prove myself. I'm happy that you can help me. I stepped forward and hugged her. I could clearly feel Su Tanchi's body tense up. She looked at me in astonishment. I smiled and tidied the stray strands of her hair. You go back to the company first, I'll be fine. Su Tanchi could only nod. Zhang Feng's company's press conference was on the 3rd day, and they were going to test the data in front of the entire internet. But when their AI started operating, the robot exhibited behavior that was attacking humans, and the press conference instantly turned chaotic. All the blame was placed on Zhang Feng, and the people who originally wanted to cooperate with him also began to withdraw. At the same time, I started to launch our company's AI, and the release instantly smacked Zhang Feng in the face. The first message I received was from Su Tanchi, congratulations. Then an hour later, she added, I didn't misjudge you. I was originally invited by the boss to a celebration party. After all, this had really made the company look good, but I still declined. I want to find Su Tanchi instead. When I arrived at the entrance of her company, before I could even go inside, I saw her coming out. A luxury car was parked at the door, and a middle-aged man, looking very energetic, got out of it and directly embraced Sutanshi. Sutanshi was talking to him naturally, and the man was looking at her very fondly. A feeling called jealousy arose in my heart. I recalled what Yun Chao had said. Sutanshi was being kept by a rich man in university, and she had never explained anything. I frowned, and when Sutanshi looked over, I shrank into a corner. But just as I turned to leave, I suddenly felt a pulling force from behind. I turned my head and saw Sutanshi, momentarily stunned. Sutanshi said softly, "Now that you're here, let me introduce someone to you." I subconsciously said, "No need. I have something to do. I'll leave first." She held on to me tightly. She had never asked anything of me. But this time she said, "Just for a few minutes." I nodded in agreement. She led me to the man and slowly said, "Dad, let me introduce you. This is my husband, Chi Sui. When did you get married? Why didn't you bring him back sooner? You're quite bold, getting married without telling anyone." He scolded her for a couple of sentences, but after Sutanshi begged for mercy in a coquettish way, he didn't say anything harsh. I went to Sutanshi's home, a real rich area. The whole way, her father mostly ignored me, which was understandable. After all, not only did I not bring any gifts, I even wanted to leave right away at the beginning, but her father didn't show any disdain. It was just the feeling of a daughter being tricked away. I felt a little helpless and secretly sent a message to Sutanshi on my phone. "I didn't prepare a gift. Will your father be angry?" "No, he has a good temper." After arriving at her house, I understood what Sutanshi meant by good temper. Her father directly called me into the study and began interrogating me. There were some things I couldn't hide, including the incident of the bride change at the wedding. Then he chased after me with a broom, hitting me while scolding. "You just bullied my daughter like that? And it was for someone else's wedding. Why don't you just fly to the sky?" Me. "Dad, I mainly don't have the ability to fly to the sky." "Who's your dad? I'm not your dad. You better stop right there." Sutanshi wanted to come and help, but I gave her a look. Finally, when her father swung the broom down, I didn't dodge and took the hit squarely. Her father was also shocked. Sutanshi rushed over. "Are you okay?" She touched my back, her eyes full of worry. Her father's blow was solid. I could feel a bit of pain, but I also felt that this blow was something I deserved. Su Huai, panting, leaned against the sofa, the broom in his hand pointing at me. You're still acting weak in front of my daughter. Scheming man." Sutanshi went to coax her father again. I watched them go upstairs, and I gave a helpless wry smile. I sat on the sofa and moved my shoulders. The wound on my back was pulled. It really hurt. After a while, I didn't know what Sutanshi said to Su Huai, but when the two came down, although Su Huai was still a bit unwilling, he still accepted me. I knew that he didn't really approve of me in his heart, but was just trying to not make things difficult for Sutanshi. After I left with Sutanshi, Sutanshi sat in the passenger seat and said, "My dad doesn't really have any malice. You don't need to be under too much pressure in front of him." I nodded. "I know, this was my fault. I should have visited him earlier." Sutanshi lowered her head, her hand touching her stomach. I didn't know what she was thinking. I parked the car at the door of a pharmacy and went to buy wound medicine. When I got home, Sutanshi helped me apply the medicine. "There's a big blue mark on your back. Does it hurt a lot?" "It's okay. It was right for your dad to hit me." I hesitated for a moment, then asked, "He is your father?" I thought. Sutanshi's originally gentle movements suddenly became rough. A sharp pain came from the wound. I gasped and heard her voice coming from behind me. "What did you think? That we were lovers?" I smiled awkwardly, a little guilty. "No, you'll believe everything Yun Chao says, even if there's no evidence at all." Although I couldn't see her expression, when she mentioned Yun Chao, her tone was obviously a bit annoyed, full of resentment. I turned to look at her, grasped her shoulders, and said very seriously, "Yun Chao is in the past." I was rapidly promoted in the company. I had encrypted the core code. Only internal personnel had the password. And after the press conference, the company began a reorganization, firing a lot of people. After I got off work, I was planning to find Sutanshi, but I was blocked in the underground parking lot by a colleague from the company. He looked very dejected, his hair disheveled, and his eyes were full of red blood vessels. He stopped me from leaving. "Chi Sui, go and beg the boss for mercy. Don't fire me. I have old people to take care of and young children to feed. Without this job, my whole family will starve." He was about to kneel down before me, and I helped him up, my gaze devoid of any pity. "I knew you would steal my code for Jiangfeng when I set up this trap. To tell you the truth, I did it on purpose. In my previous life, my tragedy was caused partly by Yun Chao's betrayal, and partly because all my program code in the company would mysteriously be stolen by others, causing our competitors or counterparts to always be one step ahead of me. So this time, I deliberately dug a pit, and I didn't expect someone would really jump in. Moreover, Zhang Feng had also made a big deal of it. A trace of resentment flashed in the man's eyes. "You bitch. I'll kill you." He rushed towards me, his eyes full of murderous intent. We wrestled, and with a few quick moves, I pinned him to the ground and punched him. These days, if you do something bad and you suffer the consequences, do you have to blame others? I didn't feel sorry for him at all and called the police directly. It was too late for him to beg for mercy now. I drove home. Su Tanxi hadn't returned yet. I tidied up briefly and went to the kitchen to cook. When Yin Xiao was pregnant before, I specifically researched many dishes that pregnant women could eat. I was planning to give Su Tanxi a surprise tonight, but she hadn't come back even after 12 o'clock. I was a little anxious. She wouldn't usually come home so late. I wanted to send her a message to ask, but I hesitated a little. In the end, I just sat in the living room and waited. She didn't come back until 3 o'clock. I turned on the lights directly, startling her. "Kisui, you're not asleep yet. I made dinner and wanted to wait for you to come back. Did you have a dinner party tonight?" I walked closer to her. I could smell a bit of alcohol on her. I frowned. Pregnant women should drink less. Su Tanxi's gaze was sparkling in the light. She asked excitedly, "Are you worried about me?" I nodded. "You are my wife now. If I don't worry about you, who would I worry about? Have you eaten anything? I'll reheat the food." As I spoke, I walked into the kitchen, but I had just entered when Su Tanxi hugged me from behind. She was very bold. "I don't want to eat that. I want to eat something else. I'm also a grown man. It's impossible not to have needs." But since she was pregnant, I refused. She lowered her eyes disappointedly, sat in the chair, and was sulking. I looked at her a few more times, and I couldn't help but feel a bit sorry. I walked over and picked her up. "You're pregnant. Nothing can be done in the first 3 months." Su Tanxi leaned in and kissed me, and I quickly took the lead. She was panting as she rested on my shoulder. Su Tanxi's feelings for me were deeper than I had imagined. When did she start liking me? At the beginning of the marriage. I didn't even care about her. After all, it was a relationship of mutual benefit. Now I'm starting to re-examine our relationship. We live like a normal couple. She made breakfast and I did the dishes and cleaned up. She didn't like having a housekeeper, and neither did I. We divided the work and didn't find it tiring. I gradually moved all my things into her house. In the secluded villa, a pair of couples' toothbrush holders appeared on the sink, and a pair of couples' cups were on the coffee table. A section of the walk-in closet was designated for my clothes. Except, I still lived in the guest room. Everything seemed so natural and beautiful. Sometimes, lying in bed at night, the events of my past life seemed like a dream. Yun Chao and Zhang Feng felt like they were from a long time ago. Zhang Feng was busy with company matters. He was demoted, and his family couldn't help him. So he quit the company in a fit of rage and joined his own family's business. And I heard that Zhang Feng and Yun Chao had broken up, and there was no longer any interaction between them. Once the white moonlight was obtained, it became a sticky grain of rice. And I saw Yun Chao again at a bidding conference. I was there to replace my superior. Originally, I wasn't responsible for such matters. Yun Chao was also helping her company with the bidding. I knew Yun Chao. She used to dislike these things and would always have her subordinates do them. But now, she was humbly introducing herself to others. When she saw me, the look in her eyes turned somewhat venomous. She couldn't stand the fact that someone she used to look down on had suddenly become more successful than her, stepping over her head. That's the kind of person Yin Chao was. She never thought she was wrong, and that kind of personality was something I had spoiled her with. Because she was my savior, I endured all her bad temper. I calmly shifted my gaze and didn't look at her, but perhaps intentionally by the organizers, after the bidding conference started, Yin Chao was on my left and Su Tanxi was on my right. And Su Tanxi had arrived just 1 minute before the conference started. And I remembered that her company's business had nothing to do with this bidding. She was very well dressed. Among the crowd of people in business attire, she was wearing a red dress, the hem swaying lightly. She was like a restless enchantress. She hooked her arm into mine and whispered intimately in my ear. I came to join in the fun, to look on behalf of my father. He suddenly became very interested. I looked at her strangely, but I didn't expose her, and held her hand the entire time. When the bidding conference ended, the results hadn't come out yet. As we were about to leave, Yun Chao blocked our path. Her voice was harsh. "You're actually still messing around together. I'm really impressed. Chi Sui, you found me dirty, but you don't find Su Tanxi dirty?" My gaze was icy cold. "She is cleaner than you." Yun Chao got angry. "You." I shielded Su Tanxi behind me and said in a low voice, "Now, it seems all kinds of dogs are being let out. Be careful not to get bitten." Su Tanxi chuckled. I didn't look at Yun Chao's expression and left with Su Tanchi. But Yun Chao wasn't one to give up easily. Rumors and gossip about Su Tanchi began to spread in the industry circle. There were all sorts of unpleasant things being said. What was worse, some people were saying she slept her way to where she was. A surge of anger suddenly rose in my heart. I might not care much about these things if they were directed at me, but when it involved Su Tanchi, I felt particularly uncomfortable. But Su Tanchi didn't care at all. She still went to and from work as usual. Sometimes I admired her state of mind. Tonight, I went to pick up Su Tanchi from work. I was already familiar with her company, so I waited directly outside her office. After she came out, she changed into high heels, looked at me, and said, "I have a social engagement tonight. If you're in a hurry, you can go home first." I shook my head. "It's okay. I'll go with you." She looked at me deeply. "You never used to accompany me to social events, did you?" That's right. Although our lives are slowly intertwining, we were always very clear about boundaries when it came to work. I couldn't quite explain it at that moment. She just smiled and agreed to let me come along. This dinner was with a group of middle-aged men. When we arrived, 3 of them were already seated, each with a female companion. It was quite a sensual scene. I didn't look anywhere else, focusing my gaze on Su Tanchi. "Are all your dinners like this?" Su Tanchi shook her head. "No." After that, 2 more people arrived. The last one to come and had a female companion, who both Su Tanchi and I knew. Even at the moment our eyes met, the air seemed to freeze. I had driven, so I didn't drink. I took a light sip of tea, watching Yun Chao with interest. Indeed, the woman being embraced by the older man was Yun Chao. And I knew this man. He was the president of a listed company we met at the bidding conference. He looked to be in his 50s or 60s, definitely married. And now Yun Chao was being so intimate with him. I didn't even need to think about it to know what kind of relationship they had. Yun Chao's eyes were also filled with surprise. She hadn't expected to run into us, and she looked incredibly uncomfortable. But what did it have to do with me? My wife now was Su Tanchi. I only glanced at her before putting all my attention back on Su Tanchi. She was pregnant, and I knew what she could and couldn't eat, and what she could have in moderation. During the dinner, no one dared to offer Su Tanchi alcohol, and I directly declined on her behalf. Yun Chao spoke in a sarcastic tone. "I never expected you, Chi Sui, to have such a considerate side." Su Tanchi said, "He's always been considerate, especially after we got together. He's very attentive to me and goes along with everything I want. Does Miss Yun have a problem with that?" I watched as Yun Chao nearly broke her chopsticks, her lips trembling. Women's words were like soft knives, designed to pierce the heart. Yun Chao's face turned green. Su Tanchi calmly ate the food I put in her bowl, first giving me a kiss on the cheek, then saying softly, "Thank you, darling." I looked at her helplessly. Yun Chao had lost all interest in talking about work. It was Su Tanchi who was confidently conversing with the company leaders. I was just beside her, taking care of her. She was more impressive than I had imagined, and her words were sharp, always cutting to the core. After the business was concluded, she directly found an excuse to go home with me. "Those people are annoying. I don't really like those kinds of gatherings." "Then why go this time?" She glanced at me, but didn't answer, turning her gaze to the window instead. I seemed to understand. When we got home, I sought confirmation. "You knew about Yun Chao and that man?" Su Tanchi readily admitted. "Yes, I wanted you to completely see what kind of person she is." By asking me now, do you think I'm very calculating? I don't know why Su Tanchi would have such a thought. I was stunned for a moment. Su Tanchi smiled self-deprecatingly. "I'm going to rest first. Problems between husband and wife shouldn't be left until the next day." I immediately grabbed her hand and pulled her into my arms. I gently kissed her earlobe and whispered in her ear, "I've already registered our marriage. I know what it means to have a sense of boundaries. Moreover, there's no chance between me and Yun Zhao anymore. You don't need to worry that she will steal me away." "But Su Tanchi, why don't you have confidence in yourself?" Su Tanchi is still quite cautious around me. I was puzzled. Su Tanchi looked away a bit guiltily, then pushed me away and said, "It's not that I don't have confidence in myself, it's about you. Before you chased Yun Zhao, everyone in the school knew. Who doesn't know she's your white moonlight?" My lips twitched slightly. I was blind before. Su Tanchi looked at me speechlessly. Yun Zhao is like a knot between us, and I don't seem to be able to treat Su Tanchi the way I treated Yun Zhao before. Maybe I spent too much passion on Yun Zhao. I don't dare to love anyone, nor dare to value a lover too much. That night, Su Tanchi asked me, "Do you want to sleep in the master bedroom?" I didn't speak. She said, "It was rude of me." I watched her go upstairs, and in the end, I went back to the guest room. I had a very long dream, in which I was with Yun Zhao all the time. I was her servant. I gave her everything, but in the end, I was pushed down from the 18th floor. My flesh was a bloody mess. Many people were laughing at me, and Yun Zhao didn't even shed a single tear at my funeral. She seized my inheritance and continued to mess around with Jiang Feng. I remember Jiang Feng was also married at that time. The two had a secret affair for more than 10 years. Jiang Feng's grinning face zoomed in before my eyes. He walked towards me step by step, about to push me down from the 18th floor again. I woke up in a flash. My eyes were full of gloom. My body was covered in a cold sweat, and I was trembling all over. Fear, dread. I was afraid of repeating the same mistake. But I am not strong enough to confront Jiang Feng now. His family is considered wealthy, and his own family also has a listed company. If I were to go head-to-head, I would be crushed to pieces. I clenched my fists and slammed them hard against the wall. I didn't even feel the pain when the back of my hand was cut. My reputation in the company is getting better and better. My salary is also gradually becoming considerable. I also won the lawsuit I had with Yun Zhao. My parents called me to explain the situation and asked me to take Su Tanchi back home. However, I still have to ask for Su Tanchi's opinion on this matter. Su Tanchi readily agreed. Even when I went to pick her up in the afternoon, she had already bought all the gifts for the meeting. I was stunned. Su Tanchi said gently, "It's the first time meeting your parents, so I should leave a good impression." I looked at her deeply and nodded. "You've worked hard. My home is in the countryside. It takes more than 2 hours to drive there. My parents run a pig farm. The annual income is okay." Because they were afraid of scaring Su Tanchi, they simply renovated the house that day. After I brought Su Tanchi back, my parents were very fond of her when they saw her. I stood aside, a smile on my lips. When I first brought Yun Zhao back, she looked down on my parents, thinking that people who raised pigs were dirty. I was so love-blind at the time that I could only try my best to appease her. But Su Tanchi is very easygoing and doesn't have any class consciousness. If a person truly likes you, they will tolerate all of you. I was originally sitting in the living room with Su Tanchi, telling her about my childhood. My father was always a little restrained and didn't dare to join in. I was quite helpless and didn't know how to persuade him. My father had developed some kind of stress disorder because of Yun Zhao. Su Tanchi noticed my father's nervousness, so she took the initiative to offer to help my mother cook. What kind of bride would go to help in the kitchen on her first visit? I wanted to stop her, but Su Tanchi just patted my hand and said, "It's all right." After Su Tanchi left, my father breathed a sigh of relief. This one looks much better than the previous one. The one looked like she had her nose in the air and looked down on ordinary people like us. I smiled bitterly. Yes, Yun Zhao only had her eyes on money. My father and I chatted for a while, talking about work, and my father said apologetically that he couldn't help me. I felt sorry for him, so I patted his shoulder and said, "Dad, you don't have to worry about my work. I've always been fine. If you're short of money outside, just tell the family. We might not be able to come up with 10 or 20 million, but 3 or 4 million we still have." Pig farming has been quite profitable in recent years, but my dad believes in keeping our wealth hidden. I've always been in the village, very low-key. Half an hour later, my mother rushed in anxiously. "Sway sway, little Sue said she was going out to buy matsutake mushrooms, but she hasn't come back after half an hour. Could something have happened to her?" My mother's eyes were red with worry. I told her not to go, but she said you love to eat them and insisted on going to buy them. Our house isn't far from the supermarket. She should have been back long ago. I immediately stood up to go look for her. The village isn't as safe as the city, and the streetlights on our village roads are very dim. I went to the small supermarket in the village first. The supermarket owner said, "Oh, that pretty girl left after buying something, and then that widower from the end of the village also went out after buying something, both going in the same direction." I even stopped the widower at the time. He said a few words to me, and then I let him go. I don't know if he followed her later. My face suddenly changed. My heart instantly felt like it was being gripped tightly, and I couldn't breathe. If that person really did something to Su Tanchi, I can't even imagine what my future would be like. Fear like a sticky sea instantly enveloped me. Su Tanchi must have been returning the same way she came, but I didn't see anything unusual when I came over. Just as I was about to leave, my phone suddenly rang. It was my father calling. His tone was anxious. "Sway sway, we found Su Tanchi halfway back, she." The words my father didn't finish were like needles piercing my heart, and I ran off. After running for a while, I saw Su Tanchi hiding behind a tree. She wouldn't let anyone get close, and the widower was being pinned to the ground by my father, with a tooth knocked out. I cautiously approached Su Tanchi, gently calling her name. "Tanner, it's me." Su Huai always called Su Tanchi that. Hearing this name, she looked up, her eyes red, and a tear just fell down. My heart ached. Su Tanchi has always been a very strong person, and this was the first time I'd seen her cry. A woman's fragility is even greater than I imagined. I wanted to go over and hug her, but she retreated backward, crying silently. I was afraid of scaring her, so I approached little by little. Tanner, I'm here to take you home. I slowly walked behind the tree, looking at her. She had some scratches on her from the branches. I didn't dare ask any more questions. I went forward and gently pulled her into my arms. Tanner, don't be afraid. I'm here. Her body went limp in my arms. She had completely passed out. I was afraid she might have suffered some serious injury, so I took her directly to the nearest hospital. As for the evil widower, I had already had my father report him to the police. I directly told the police that I wouldn't accept any reconciliation. I wanted to see him go to jail. While the doctor was examining Sue Tanchi, I stayed by her bedside the entire time. She was unconscious the whole time, and I just held her hand. When I realized it, I was already covered in a cold sweat, my clothes soaked. Aftershock, I kissed the back of her hand, my eyes full of worry. Even the doctor came over to comfort me. It wasn't until the next morning that Sue Tanchi finally woke up completely. I hadn't slept all night. Seeing her open her eyes was a relief, and I reached out to gently caress her face, comforting her. Don't worry, you just have some minor superficial injuries. They won't leave scars. You'll be fine after some rest. Sue Tanchi pursed her lips, nodded, and asked in a low voice, Did the doctor say anything else? I nodded, speaking very seriously, yes. Sue Tanchi instantly clenched her hand, her expression visibly tense. What did the doctor say? She told you to get some rest, and that you fainted from the shock. I apologized. It's my fault. I should have gone out with you. Otherwise, you wouldn't have encountered this. Sue Tanchi was first startled, then quickly shook her head. It has nothing to do with you. That man was wrong. Where is he now? At the police station. I've already asked the police. No reconciliation. Don't worry. I will definitely not let him get away with it. Sue Tanchi nodded. She clearly breathed a sigh of relief. Sue Tanchi was discharged from the hospital after waking up. My parents also felt very sorry. When they saw Sue Tanchi, they were extremely embarrassed and kept apologizing, which made Sue Tanchi feel awkward. Sue Tanchi also knew that no matter what she said now, they wouldn't listen, so she could only let them apologize. After we went back, I took 3 days off work to stay home and accompany Sue Tanchi. Sue Tanchi was a little flattered. Weren't you always focused on work? Now this is... I'll stay home and take care of you for a while. Work is important, but I suddenly moved closer to her, slowly pushing her onto the sofa. She was a little stunned. I stared at her, as if playing a prank, my fingertips slowly sliding down her neck. The clothes she was wearing at home were already loose, and my fingertips could easily slip inside. She grabbed my wrist, looking at me blankly. What are you doing? Making a baby? Her pupils visibly trembled, and then she pushed me away. I didn't continue, following her forced to lean back on the sofa, my eyes half closed, a teasing smile on my face. Of course it's to get you pregnant. My dad didn't blame me. It must be because you told him you were pregnant, right? We have to make it real. Otherwise, how will you explain it to my father later? Actually, by looking at how his father's attitude towards me changed, it wasn't difficult to guess. Sue Tanchi opened her mouth. So, you knew all along that I was lying to you. That day in the hospital, I asked the doctor if there was anything wrong with your stomach, and the doctor told me you weren't pregnant. You were startled at the time, and I didn't dare ask you. I thought about it all night yesterday, and my feelings for you should be more than just a marriage of convenience. I like you. If it was Sue Tanchi, saying these 4 words didn't seem like a burden at all, but rather made things easier, and all the previous hesitations vanished. I looked at Sue Tanchi, my eyes full of affection. I probably like her more than I imagined. Yesterday's heart-wrenching pain made me scared. I looked at her very seriously. Sue Tanchi didn't come back to her senses for a long time. She pinched her brow. Am I dreaming? Or are you saying this to get back at Yun Zhao? I narrowed my eyes. You're the one who married me to get back at Yun Zhao, right? Back then, I didn't continue with the wedding to avoid future tragedies. I even thought I wouldn't get married for the rest of my life. As a result, Sue Tanchi ran into it herself. Actually, I hadn't thought it through at the time. I just felt happy seeing Yun Zhao's expression change, so I agreed. Sue Tanchi smiled awkwardly. I leaned closer to her and asked directly, What about you? A woman wouldn't marry a man she didn't love just to spite another woman. Moreover, I've always felt that Sue Tanchi didn't take Yun Zhao seriously. So, unless it was love, she wouldn't make such a huge sacrifice. Her eyes flickered, and she was unusually playful. That's for you to discover yourself. The wall between me and Sue Tanchi seemed to have broken down, and that night I moved back into the bedroom. The wounds on her body had healed, and we fooled around at home for quite a while, until my boss called me, and I had to go to the company. There was a slight error in the program. I made emergency corrections. Luckily, the losses weren't too great. The program error was due to mismatched products, but the products had already been manufactured, so they couldn't be sent back. After I got busy with work, during a conversation with a partner, I accidentally heard them talking about Su Tanchi, about the rumors Yin Zhao had spread about her before. I had almost forgotten about this. I listened patiently for a while, a cold smile curving my lips. I didn't argue with them, but after leaving, I went to my office and deleted all the rumors online. Although I'm not a hacker, I possess all the abilities that a hacker has. It was because of this ability that I was able to earn a lot of money in university. And Yin Zhao had also taken a liking to that. The rumors were easy to delete, but in the industry, everyone started to lose interest in Su Tanchi. Mostly with contempt. Without any hesitation, I retaliated in kind, revealing everything Yin Zhao had done during her 3 years of university. After all, I knew her very well, knew which of her words were false, knew the awful things she had done, and even why she had hooked up with that old man. After posting everything online, I felt no sympathy for her. These things escalated quickly, reaching the top of the trending list within an hour. And I received a call from Yin Zhao. At first, I didn't want to have any contact with her, but Yin Zhao relentlessly called me a dozen times. She sent me a message. You don't want to pay attention to me that much? Don't you want to know the secrets from university? All the secrets related to you. University secrets. What secrets could I have? But Yin Zhao spoke as if she knew something. I called Yin Zhao back and told her to arrange a time and place. At 7 in the evening, I arrived at the cafe on the second floor of Lifeng International. Yin Zhao was sitting in the innermost seat. She wasn't as glamorous as before. There were dark circles under her eyes. Her makeup wasn't particularly exquisite, and her clothes were out of date, not the latest luxury items. It looked like her standard of living had dropped a lot after leaving me. There were very few people in the entire cafe now. She was leisurely drinking coffee, and she was indifferent to my arrival. I looked at her coldly, sat down directly across from her, and asked, "What else are you hiding from me?" After she said those words, I thought about a lot of things for the entire afternoon. Things I had never seriously thought about before. Many details I had overlooked today popped into my mind. Yun Zhao looked at me mockingly. You really were stupid before. You believed everything I said. Not stupid, just love-struck. I liked you, so I was willing to believe you. It's laughable, really? A simp to the end, getting nothing in the end. I looked at her with cool eyes. Of course, someone like you only sees money, power, and status. You wouldn't understand. I ordered myself a milk tea. I never liked coffee, but once Yin Zhao said that a man drinking coffee had a certain charm, so I learned to drink it. That stuff is so bitter, it's terrible. I've always liked these things. You were the one who insisted on latching on. I'll also tell you, the only reason I was with you was because of the program code you wrote in school. My gaze was calm. Yun Zhao was surprised. You're not even a little bit surprised. Jiang Feng has already been kicked out of this circle by me. That can be considered revenge. Some people, even if they get the opportunity to study abroad, don't come back with any real skills. Look at him. Isn't he still a useless person? Yun Zhao clenched her hand. The corner of her eye twitched. How does it feel to like a useless person? How does it feel to spit out the money you got? Even this, I feel like it's letting Yun Zhao off easy. Yun Zhao picked up her coffee and was about to throw it in my face, but I raised my hand to stop her, pressing down on her hand, and the scalding coffee landed on the back of her hand. She cried out, and everyone around instantly looked over. I smiled, tugging at the corners of my lips. Yun Zhao pulled her hand back and asked coldly, was it you who spread those things about me online? Even if we broke up, even if we're not together, you shouldn't be so ruthless in the things you do. You're trying to cut off all my escape routes. I took a sip of my milk tea, but looking at Yin Zhao, it didn't taste sweet at all. I simply put down the cup and said coldly, when you spread rumors about Su Tanchi online, didn't you ever think that today would come? I remember now you specifically spread rumors about her in college. That black post that splashed her with dirty water, that was written by you. Upon hearing that, Yin Zhao laughed. As she laughed, her expression became twisted and ferocious. So you did come to find me because of Su Tanchi. Weren't you the one who liked me the most? Just because I betrayed you, you went to like her? Or were you two already hooking up? And that's why you put on that scene at the wedding. Yun Zhao didn't mention her own faults at all. I laughed out of anger. It wasn't my fault she wanted to cheat on Jiang Feng. It wasn't my fault she wanted to hook up with an old man. It wasn't my fault she spread rumors about others. And now that the boomerang has come back to hit her, she knows the pain and starts blaming others. She's really good at turning black into white. I never thought she was so unreasonable before. I smirked at her. I only want to know what happened in university. Then divorce Su Tanchi. You divorce her, and I'll tell you. I looked at her like she was an idiot. Impossible. You wouldn't have fallen for her, would you? You hated her before because of me, right? I frowned, feeling inexplicably uncomfortable, and that bad premonition became stronger and stronger. That's because you always talked badly about her in front of me. You believe whatever I said? Chi Sui, you're also an adult man. Don't you have your own sense of right and wrong? Her words were like a heavy hammer, hitting my chest hard, making it hard for me to breathe. I clenched my fists, my eyes filled with a violent aura. After a long while, I finally found my voice. What exactly do you want to say? Now that things have come to this, I'm not afraid to tell you, the person who saved you in the fire wasn't me. The first person who popped into my head when Yun Zhao said that was Su Tanxi. I didn't even have the courage to ask Yun Zhao to confirm my idea. Su Tanxi has burned scars all over her back. She never wears backless clothes, and she only briefly mentioned the lab fire at the time. She almost never talked about it. She never demanded repayment for her kindness. And because of this, I felt a little panicked. But in Yun Zhao's eyes, I was still as cold and heartless as ever. It's just that when you woke up in the hospital, I happened to go into the wrong room. I just happened to see that you were in the computer science department and the top student in the campus competition. At that time, I thought if I could get you to fall in love with me, I could definitely help Jiang Feng. Even now, when mentioning Jiang Feng, I could still see a hint of admiration on Yun Zhao's face. At the time, I was still hesitating about how to tell you about this. But the first thing you said when you woke up was that you wanted to repay your savior. So, naturally, I could only play along. You were indeed easy to fool, never even trying to verify it. It wasn't just that I gave you a green hat at the wedding. I've been giving you a green hat since the day I met you. Yun Zhao laughed wildly. She looked at me like I was a jumping clown. Indeed, at the time I was prejudiced, and Yun Zhao seemed very kind and cared a lot about me, so it was understandable that I was moved. I took a deep breath, actually hating myself a bit. Should I thank you for acting out so many years of loving scenes? Yun Zhao laughed, looking almost manic. You're welcome. After all, even if Jiang Feng doesn't want me in the future, as long as I turn back, you'll always be there. It's quite nice having a backup. Yun Zhao sighed. I just don't know why you suddenly went crazy on the wedding day and discovered us. Now that I think about it, it must have been something Su Tanxi did, right? She has always liked you for 4 years in university, and hasn't given up after starting work. Yun Zhao smirked. She slowly opened her mouth. Besides the university matter, I also have a happy thing to tell you. That is, I'm pregnant with your child. Behind me, the sound of a glass shattering suddenly echoed. When I turned around, I saw Su Tanxi standing behind me, the glass having fallen from her hand. My heart skipped a beat. Before I could explain anything, Su Tanxi walked forward, picked up the milk tea cup beside me, and harshly splashed it onto Yun Zhao's face. Her tone was calm to the point of being cold. You betrayed him, fine, but you still want to make him a father? Yun Zhao, how are you calculating this so astoundingly? You should be clear in your heart whether the child in your stomach is from that old man or Jiang Feng. Su Tanxi looked down at Yun Zhao. Screwing him over once isn't enough. How many times do you want to do it? Back in college, you were hostile to me. I thought of how much Chi Sui liked you, so I tolerated it. Now, you actually want to threaten him? Yun Zhao, you should really look in the mirror. See if you're even worthy. Yun Zhao's face was a mess, and she couldn't utter a word in response to Su Tanxi's sharp words. Her body trembled, and she suddenly yelled, There are reporters here. You two as a couple are bullying me alone. Netizens will definitely. Yun Zhao's words were suddenly interrupted. We are reporters, but we're not idiots. We can distinguish right from wrong. A reporter sitting nearby stood up and looked towards Chi Sui. Mr. Chi, we've recorded your conversation. Don't worry. This time we'll definitely clear you and your wife's name. Yun Zhao's eyes widened. Weren't you the one I hired? The reporter glanced at her. When did I say I was the one who you came of first? Mr. Chi contacted me 3 days ago to help suppress public opinion and rumors online. We've been working together for a while, Miss Yun. You were the one who came later. Yun Zhao's pupils sharply contracted, and she was completely thrown off balance. She suddenly fell from heaven to hell. Yun Zhao suddenly rushed towards me. Su Tanxi was about to deal with her, but I quickly pulled Su Tanxi behind me, grabbed Yun Zhao's wrist, and forcefully threw her away. Yun Zhao couldn't stand steady and fell to the ground. I looked down at her from above. You could scheme against me. So why can't I scheme against you? Tit for tat. Yun Zhao laughed maniacally, and I had already left the coffee shop with Su Tanxi. I held Su Tanxi's hand and asked her, How did you come? Yun Zhao asked me to come, and I happened to hear her say she was pregnant with your child. I raised an eyebrow at her. Are you jealous? Su Tanxi's cheeks flushed slightly, and she even avoided looking at me. Who's jealous? Don't talk nonsense. I held her hand, my mood a bit heavy. Sorry, back then I was blind and recognized the wrong lifesaver. Su Tanchi clicked her tongue. You call that being blind? You had no brains. I was silent for a moment, then lowered my head. Yeah, if I had any brains at all, I wouldn't have been forced into that situation. I was just joking. Why are you taking it seriously? Su Tanchi cupped my face and, tilting her head, lightly kissed me on the lips. I lowered my head to look at her, gently touched her face. At this moment, no words seemed adequate. In my past life, I spent 10 years by Yun Chao's side. What about Su Tanchi? In any situation where Su Tanchi was present, Yun Chao would deliberately embarrass me, deliberately make things difficult for me. What kind of mood was she in back then? I dare not imagine, but at least I know she had never married. I deepened the kiss and whispered in her ear, "Thank you for still being willing to wait for me." Yun Zhao's reputation was completely ruined. That reporter was very good at marketing. Her affairs at university and in society were being dug up bit by bit. Everyone gradually realized that she wasn't as simple as she seemed on the surface. And my relationship with Su Tanchi became a bit awkward because of this. It was as if that thin layer of paper on the window had finally been poked through, but neither of us were willing to take another step forward. I've been getting off work late recently, sometimes staying at the company until midnight. Every time I get home, there's a light left on, but Su Tanchi is asleep. I've wanted to talk to her several times, but I can't find a way to start. I sat by the bed and glanced at the person with their back to me. "Are you asleep?" She didn't speak. After I lay down, she suddenly hugged me from behind. My body stiffened for a moment, and she said directly into my ear, "Let's have a baby first." I felt a bit helpless about this, but she was too proactive. The saying that a woman chasing a man is like piercing a thin layer of paper seemed to be proven in my case. The next morning, Su Tanchi went to work very early. I could now confirm that she was avoiding me. I sighed helplessly. When I went to the company, I found Yun Zhao waiting for me at the door, so I could only go up in the elevator from the underground parking lot. As soon as I entered the company, I heard people whispering, and they all fell silent when they saw me. I frowned and went to my office with a gloomy face. A colleague who was close to me came in. "Are you really going to let the things online about Yun Zhao go unaddressed? She's responsible for her own actions. Why should I care?" The colleague smiled awkwardly. "It's better to leave some leeway. You used to like her so much. Even if you break up, try to make it a bit more dignified. It looks pretty ugly right now." I gave him a cold look. He made a gesture to shut up and quickly slipped away. The security guard called me twice in the morning, and I told him to chase Yun Zhao away each time. 3 days passed like this, and Yun Zhao didn't appear again. I went on a business trip out of the province. As I was about to leave, Su Tanchi was helping me pack. Looking at her busy figure, I stretched out my arm and pulled her into my arms. "Tanner, come with me." I could clearly see that her earlobes turned red. Su Tanchi turned around to face me. "Why do you want me to go with you?" I was slightly stunned. Then a thought struck me, and I said, "I owe you a honeymoon. The scenery in Nanjiang is very beautiful. You can also go to relax. If we both work, there will be very little opportunity for communication. I don't want her to give up her work, but I want to find an opportunity to talk to her, even if it's only for a few days." Su Tanchi looked at me deeply. "Okay. Nanjiang is a coastal city, a very beautiful place. In my past life, I had planned to take Yun Zhao there after this business trip." I looked at Su Tanchi standing beside me. I proactively took her hand and smiled slightly. "I've already booked the hotel." While I was busy with work, she stayed in the hotel. When I returned, she was busy with baby making. I discovered that Su Tanchi was really persistent about having a baby. Her persistence shocked me. When I was lying in bed at night, I sighed involuntarily. After hearing it, she said, "Should I make you some wolfberry tea tomorrow to help replenish you?" A man must never say he's not good enough. Why do you want to have a child so badly? What will happen to your job if you have a child? Su Tanchi didn't answer my question. She fell asleep while hugging me. I didn't press her either, gently stroking her back, where the burn scars were large. The fire in the lab that year had started very suddenly. I'd rushed in to protect the code I needed for a competition. But for some reason, there was an explosion inside. All the computers were destroyed, and the code was obviously gone. It hadn't been saved at all. This accident also directly prevented me from participating in the school's second competition. Later, because of Yun Chao, I didn't pursue the matter. Thinking about it now, I was really blinded by love at the time. But why was Su Tanchi the one who saved me? Before that fire, I had absolutely no interaction with her. Why would she save me? The next day, I had almost finished the work tasks. I stayed in bed for a while in the morning, fooling around with Su Tanchi. When things got intimate, I asked, "Why did you go into the lab to save me?" I knelt over her, gently kissing the burn scars on her back, feeling her slight trembling. She smiled wryly. "Of course you don't know anything. Because my crush was a one-sided thing. She turned to face me, wrapped her arms around my neck, tilted her head, her eyes filled with a hint of smugness. I have a crush on you, and besides having bad taste, you are indeed a very outstanding person. I opened my mouth, not knowing if she was praising or insulting me for a moment. I was glad she didn't know about my previous life, or she would be heartbroken. When did you start having a crush on me? I pressed further. Her cheeks flushed slightly, seeming a little hesitant. Do I really have to say? I want to hear it. It was rare that she was willing to tell me about this. If I missed this chance, I didn't know if I'd get another. Su Tanchi pursed her lips, then smiled at me. The first time other students spread rumors about me at school, you hacked the school website to help me. I thought about it carefully. There was indeed such an incident, but that was because I was making a bet with a friend. Whoever hacked the school website first would have to wash the other socks for a year. Back then, I was young and impulsive, very naive. After hacking the website, I was caught by the principal and almost had to call my parents. I hesitated whether to explain it to her clearly. But she said, I know it was a coincidence, but after that incident, I started to actively learn about you. You were a bit different from everyone else, absolutely confident and flamboyant. The more I learned, the more my heart moved. Her gaze lowered slightly, her voice a little softer. Then, when the lab caught fire, I went in to save you and also found out that someone was deliberately starting the fire. At that time, I was actually living right next door to you. I was planning to confess to you after I recovered, when your body was more or less healed too. But then I saw you foolishly chasing after Yun Xiao. She rolled her eyes. I was instantly speechless. Then why didn't you tell me? Would you have believed me if I had? I was just about to tell you, but you confessed to Yun Xiao in front of the entire school. If I had confessed then, wouldn't I have become the laughingstock of the entire school? I felt like you really liked Yun Xiao at the time, regardless of whether she was your savior or not. Chi Sui, am I right? I opened my mouth. Yes. Given the circumstances at the time, I really wouldn't have believed Su Tanchi's words. Su Tanchi told me everything that happened afterwards. She investigated the truth about the laboratory fire, but because Zhang Feng's family was too powerful, she couldn't really bring him down. She could only let him continue his evil deeds at school. And the competition code that Zhang Feng used to go abroad was stolen by Yun Zhao from me. At that time, Yun Zhao was certain that I wouldn't be willing to break up with her, and coupled with her using her life-saving grace to demand repayment, my heart softened and I didn't consider going abroad anymore. If I hadn't overheard their conversation recently, I would never have known about this my whole life. That semi-finished code must have been perfected by someone, so at first glance, I didn't think of my own program code. And Su Tanchi always knew about all of this. She was always helping me find evidence, while I was just love-struck. Thinking about it now, I can't help but want to slap myself. What was your reason for avoiding me for the past period of time? I looked at her strangely, wanting to take advantage of this time to resolve all the questions. Su Tanchi flipped over and pinned me down, as if licking her back teeth, and said, I thought you didn't love me, just were grateful. I was escaping those feelings, so I didn't want to listen to your explanation. I sighed helplessly. Even if you hadn't saved me before, so many things happened after we got married. I'm not heartless. How could I not see it? Su Tanchi half closed her eyes, a hint of suspicion in her gaze. My mouth twitched slightly, and I hugged her tightly. I love you. Did you hear that? I toured Nanjiang with Su Tanchi, and our relationship clearly warmed up. I only then learned many things about her, and also understood how hard it was for her during her unrequited love in college. Unrequited love couldn't be expressed. A chaotic war only for one. Yun Zhao definitely knew about this, so she always deliberately spoke ill of Su Tanchi in front of me, deliberately trying to give me a bad impression of Su Tanchi. She was really scheming. I now also understand why these two never got along in college. If I were Su Tanchi, I would hate Yun Zhao to the bone. On our wedding day, the ring I gave Su Tanchi belonged to Yun Zhao. That ring didn't fit her, so today I brought her to a jewelry store to choose a new one. Su Tanchi glanced at me. No need to waste this money. Anything for you is not a waste of money. I pulled her to choose several styles, and following her preferences, selected a classic one. After paying, I took the ring directly and knelt on one knee before her. This is the proposal I owe you. Although it's a bit simple, I am sincere. Su Tanchi covered her mouth, her eyes red-rimmed. After a while, she finally reacted and reached out her hand to me. I put the ring on her finger, stood up, and hugged her, kissing her. Oh? Isn't this the student council president and Yun Zhao's boyfriend? You guys are really together? Someone walked into the jewelry store and looked at us in surprise. I quickly recognized him. He was Zhang Feng's follower back in the day, completely obedient to Zhang Feng's words. I frowned, having no good feelings for him. I even pulled Su Tanshi to leave. But the man still stood in front of us, smiling and saying, "Since you guys came to Nanjiang as the host, shouldn't I treat you to some eating, drinking, and fun? Don't hold on to grudges from college, right? Don't be so petty. There's a class reunion in a few days. Why not come and have some fun?" On the day of the class reunion, Su Tanshi and I arrived fashionably late. As we reached the entrance of the private room, we heard the sound of everyone's discussion from inside. It's truly unbelievable that those two ended up together. Can you guess how Chi Sui licked Su Tanshi's boots? Su Tanshi is a real-deal rich and beautiful woman. Yin Chao, what's going on with you? Weren't you so confident before, saying you'd definitely win over Chi Sui? Why are you so defeated now? Don't even mention it. It's all that slut Su Tanshi's fault. Didn't you guys say they were coming? Where are they? I pushed open the door to the private room directly, my gaze coldly sweeping over everyone present. My tone was calm, almost indifferent. Do you think the music in the private room isn't loud enough, or that you're not loud enough when gossiping about others? I didn't recognize any of these people, but from their words and tone, I could tell they were on Yun Chao's side. Did these people not even have the ability to distinguish right from wrong? I won't attend any more class reunions like this. They're trash. I don't think I have anything to say to any of you. In the past, I chased after Yun Chao so desperately, without any dignity, and was the laughingstock of the university. It was posted all over the online forum, and they even used me as a negative example. When I was finally good enough and managed to get together with Yin Chao, they said I was a toad trying to eat swan meat. It's laughable. I chuckled self-deprecatingly and turned around, slamming the door to the private room shut. Su Tanshi and I had only walked a few steps when someone chased after us, saying, "Since you've come, you have to split the bill. Go pay up." My steps faltered. I was so angry that I almost laughed at this person's shameless words. Su Tanshi and I hadn't done anything, and they wanted us to pay them money? Why didn't they just rob us? Su Tanshi simply pulled me away and left. She didn't even turn her head the whole time. Instead, when we reached the front desk of the club, she said to the staff on duty, "Charge the full amount, no discount, for all the expenses in room 5029. I glanced at Su Tanshi confused. How did she have such influence? Su Tanshi just took out a business card, and the staff followed her instructions. It belatedly dawned on me. Does your family own this club? Su Tanshi nodded. My dad just opened it for fun. Your uncle's business is really extensive. Su Tanshi corrected me. Didn't you call him dad before? Afterwards, Yun Chao chased after us, blocking the way in front of our car. I couldn't actually drive over her. I gave Su Tanshi a reassuring look and then got out of the car to face Yun Chao, asking, "Is there something else? We were together for so long. Do you really have to be so heartless? Don't you know what it means to leave people a way out?" Yun Chao's eyes were red as she stared fixedly at me. Heartless? Yun Chao, have you ever tasted the flavor of death? I don't believe that everyone deserves sympathy. I only believe in the wheel of fortune. Now that it's your turn, why doesn't it turn you to death? Did she want to stir up my sympathy? That was absolutely impossible. I only had hatred left for her. Yun Chao's eyes were filled with tears. She walked towards me and suddenly knelt in front of me. Do you really have to make me beg you like this? You know I care about face. I had to say those things in front of our classmates, but they weren't my true feelings. I like you, and I care about you very much. I really want to marry you. I want to spend my whole life with you. Yun Chao's tears flowed freely as she spoke with great emotion, her words heartbreaking, her appearance tearful. She hugged my leg, crying uncontrollably. I lowered my head to look at her, my eyes devoid of any emotion, and calmly said, "You really like me? How much is your sincerity worth? You really think highly of yourself. Don't say it's not your true feelings. It's because you have no heart. You've been dumped by Jiang Feng, so you think of me as a backup now, right? Let me tell you, there's never going to be anything between you and me." Yun Chao yelled, "But I'm pregnant with your child." It's true. It's really your child. I curled my lips into a smile. That's great. Then let's do a paternity test and see who the seed in your belly belongs to. Yun Chao's face changed. Do you have to be so cruel? Are you scared? I lowered my head slightly. Yun Chao stuttered. Yun Chao, from now on, there's no relationship between us anymore. I returned to my car, drove away, and in the rearview mirror, I could see Yun Chao collapsed on the ground. There's no such thing as a regret pill in this world. Su Tanshi suddenly said, I think you should still mess with Jiang Feng. Maybe Yun Chao can be used. Hearing this, I almost stepped on the accelerator instead of the brake. The car accelerated abruptly, and I quickly hit the brake. What did you say? Su Tanshi pouted. If you can't bear to, then forget it. I drove slowly, looking at her teasingly. Are you jealous? Su Tanshi rolled her eyes at me. I chuckled quietly. I felt that what Su Tanchi said wasn't without reason, but I didn't want to have any more dealings with Yin Xiao. Moreover, Su Tanchi's words were mostly a test. If I really turned around and went back to Yin Xiao, she would dare to run away from home tomorrow. Su Tanchi was different from Yin Xiao. She wasn't a small woman, nor did she need to rely on a man to survive. She had a good family background, a good personality, didn't lack money, nor did she lack suitors. She never wanted anything from me because she probably looked down on everything I had. Such a Su Tanchi was excellent, almost perfect. The only flaw was that she liked me. And her undisguised affection was exceptionally pure, so pure that I couldn't resist it. After returning home, the next day, I went with her to the hospital. The doctor told her that she was pregnant. I was happier than her. Su Tanchi said, "Now I can explain things to my father." I was puzzled. "Explain what?" Su Tanchi smiled at me. "You were wrong about one thing. My father really wants a grandchild. He said as long as I can have one, he won't stop us from being together. The deadline is 3 months. So, your fake pregnancy was just for me?" Su Tanchi was unusually sheepish. "You can't say it like that. Back then, we had a marriage agreement, and it's normal for me to be afraid. If you were to rekindle things with Yin Xiao, I wouldn't be able to do anything about it, right?" I suddenly embraced her, feeling heartache. Because she liked someone, she became cautious, even testing my sincerity a little. It was like a piece of opera. If I didn't get into the role, I could leave at any time, but Su Tanchi couldn't. What she gave was her true feelings, and she would be the one hurting. Su Tanchi was stunned for a moment before hugging me back, saying, "Let's go back and see my dad. Let's tell him this good news together." I suddenly felt a pain in my back. After all, it was only our second meeting, so although Su Huai still had some issues with me, he wasn't hitting me with a broom anymore. He and I sat in the living room, while Su Tanchi went to the kitchen, leaving the two of us in an awkward staring match. I couldn't let the atmosphere stay so awkward, so I took the initiative to chat with Su Huai. I didn't know much about Su Tanchi's preferences, so I could only try to indirectly ask him about them. After responding a couple of times, he realized I was trying to get information out of him, so he glared at me, but didn't say anything to me in the end. Su Tanchi quickly brought over tea and asked, "What are you two talking about?" Su Huai, "Talking about what surname our future children will have." Me. If Su Huai hadn't brought it up, I wouldn't have considered that surname, but Su Huai seemed very concerned. I said honestly, "Dad, I need to go back and discuss this with my parents, and I'll convince them." It wasn't appropriate to hide this from my parents either. Su Huai snorted. "Daughter, you haven't found yourself a mama's boy, have you?" Su Tanchi immediately exposed him. "Dad, you were just praising how well he writes code at home, and wanted to poach him to our company. Why are you saying this about him now?" I caught on quickly. "Thank you for the praise, Dad." Su Huai rolled his eyes at me. After leaving the Su family, Su Tanchi and I walked around the neighborhood to digest our meal. She said, "My mother passed away early, and my dad raised me all by himself, being both a mother and a father. He's just most afraid of me being wrong. He's not actually that fixated on what surname the child will have. He just wants to see your attitude. Most men can't stand their children taking the mother's surname." I nodded in agreement. "That's true, but I'm not like that." I put my arm around her shoulders, gently placing my hand on her stomach, and said, "Tanner, do you know what people think of first when they're dying?" Su Tanchi didn't hesitate at all. "I want us to live on together, because I haven't confessed my feelings yet." I was stunned. The first time I truly felt the reality of death was in that fire. And so was Su Tanchi. "I've discovered you're even more of a love brain than me." There's nothing wrong with being a love brain, and besides, I'm very rational, unlike some people. I quickly covered Su Tanchi's mouth. I can't argue with her in the future, because as soon as she brings up Yin Xiao, I'll definitely be deflated. My place in the family was immediately made clear. Su Huai proposed that I go work for his company, and that's when I found out that Su Huai was actually the CEO of a Fortune 100 company. But I still refused. The Su family was very powerful, but it wasn't the right fit for me. I had to stay at this company and beat Zhang Feng into the ground. Zhang Feng's family business was related to computers. As my position at the company improved, I was able to attend more and more computer conferences, and I got to know more and more influential figures. I obtained the evidence of Zhang Feng plagiarizing my code from Su Tanchi. His degree from abroad was revoked, and he became a disgrace to the computer industry. His family business suffered greatly as a result. Only then did I contact my father-in-law and have him start taking over the Jiang family business. Wanfeng Group. I continued to suppress Wanfeng's products and core code in the computer industry. They only lasted for half a month before starting to fall into chaos. Although it was a little unethical, Su Huai acquired them at this point. But in the business world, as long as you're not killing or setting fires. Who is truly operating above board? Wanfeng International completely collapsed within 2 months. Originally, my plan was for 2 years, but Jiang Feng couldn't hold his impatience. He bribed the people in my technology department to steal my code again, causing his reputation to plummet. After that, with Su Huai's help and his company's absolute pressure, Wanfeng simply couldn't hold on. My life returned to normal. Su Tanshi's belly wasn't showing much yet. She just came out of the hospital today, and the doctor said she was pregnant with twins. I was a little excited and a little melancholic. I don't know how to be a good father. In my past life, when I was with Yun Zhao's child, she didn't like me, thought I was useless, and was instead very affectionate towards Jiang Feng. If they hadn't told me the truth before I died, I would have truly thought it was my fault. It wasn't my fault at all. It was that she knew she wasn't my daughter. I touched Su Tanshi's belly and worried. Being pregnant with twins is very tiring. I don't want you to suffer too much. What should we do, Tanner? Su Tanshi blinked her eyes and said helplessly, well, you can't give birth for me. Actually, you can think of it this way. Our family was originally going to have 2 children, and now that we're directly having twins, does that mean I only have to suffer once? I frowned. It does seem to be what you mean. Then don't worry. Su Tanshi should be the one feeling anxious about the pregnancy. Yet she was comforting me instead. Just as we were about to leave the hospital, someone suddenly ran towards us. Kisui, Kisui, I'm going to kill you. Why can a useless piece of trash like you be on top? I was a little dazed when Jiang Feng appeared, but I immediately shielded Su Tanshi behind me. I hadn't seen Jiang Feng for more than 2 months since Wanfeng went bankrupt. He had completely lost his previous high spirits and looked very dejected. He was no longer wearing any brand-name clothes or watches, completely becoming an ordinary person. I looked at him, my eyes devoid of any emotion. I was never a useless piece of trash. You are the useless one. He rushed at me. I was confident I could control him, knock the knife out of his hand, and pin him to the ground. By then, the hospital security guards had arrived, and they quickly took him away. Su Tanshi rushed towards me anxiously, her eyes reddening. Your hand is injured. Let's get it bandaged. Su Tanshi didn't have any morning sickness throughout her 10 months of pregnancy, but I was the one who kept vomiting. I searched online and found out it was called transferred morning sickness, because the man loves the woman so much that he is willing to bear all her pain. I lay weakly in bed. The vomiting has been particularly bad these past 2 days, causing me to drift into a hazy dream about what happened after my death in my previous life. The person who collected my body was actually Su Tanshi. I married her with $1 million, and she treated me like a fool. I heard her voice. You said you liked Yun Zhao, so I stayed away from you, didn't get close to you, thinking that you would be happy, but I never thought that you would be killed by them. Do you want me to avenge you? I really like being able to start over. Even if you hate me, I want you to see their true colors sooner. The scene changed, and I watched Su Tanshi rush into Jiang Feng's house and set it on fire. I shouted at her to come out, and then I abruptly woke up. I was covered in sweat, my face pale, and my whole body was trembling. That dream felt so real, as if it had actually happened. Su Tanshi wiped the sweat off me. You had a nightmare? Why were you calling my name? I held her hand, feeling the warmth in her palm. Tanner, do you believe that there is such a thing as rebirth in this world? What nonsense are you talking about? I'm a materialist. Okay, let's rest. Our family will be together forever. Su Tanshi kissed me and coaxed me to sleep. Yes, our family will be together forever.